Hey, and welcome to The Office Field Guide. My name's Chris, and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office ever.
Hi.
Hello?
And today, we're looking at Broke.
Well. How the turntables?
We're going to be talking about the criminal offenses that Jim commits in this episode. We'll also talk about some butt-kissing, office theories, and the economy. To set the stage, Broke is all about
money.
And with that, let's overextend ourselves into crushing defeat, only to be delivered in the 11th hour by slick talking and face saving.
I understand nothing.
Oh yeah, and spoiler warning for all of The Office.
Warning! 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 Warning!
Broke was written by Charles Grandy and directed by Steve Carell, making this his directorial debut, and I don't think that really gets talked about enough. Carell had previously written episodes, even one of my personal favorites in season 4, Survivor Man.
No!
And he did submit this episode for Emmy consideration when he was nominated for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series, which he did lose to Alec Baldwin. And while I love 30 Rock,
Bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Oh yeah, it's winning time, you magnificent son of a bitch!
What is that?
It's his psych-up speech. He doesn't know his microphone is on.
so in traditional storytelling arcs, Broke is right here, meaning the rest of the Michael Scott paper story arc goes like this. And I keep reading that this wraps up the entire story arc, but I'm not really sure that's accurate. It does wrap up Idris's time in Scranton,
You have embarrassed me for the last time today.
but more on that in a minute. I'd argue that, traditionally speaking, Casual Friday serves as the actual resolution to this arc.
What I tell you about building forts in my warehouse?
But more on that next week. Okay, with the end in sight at least, and for sure Charles' last time in the Scranton office, I thought we should do something special to send him off.
Hey guys.
Nope, you're done.
It's such a good moment, but we're gonna get there later. I actually did want to deep dive into Charles' character for just a minute.
I am aware of the effect I have on women.
And that's because we get to see more of who Charles actually is in this episode. Cracks in the facade has been my phrase of choice during this arc. Charles does everything he can to present a strong and confident front.
Yeah, it makes us look weak.
I agree.
I mean, he's Idris Elba, so it'd be hard not to appear strong, but that's what Charles builds his entire character persona around.
No, I don't need Hank.
Which, again, makes sense coming from a steel mill management background,
Beautiful.
but I'd still argue that Charles is way out of his league in this office.
Do you even know how paper is made?
I'm working on an office theory video right now, and in that, I go into some theories on why the Scranton branch does so well.
Your most profitable branch.
I'll put a link to that video right here if you want to click it, or, just watch it later. Anyway, while Michael seems like a bumbling fool,
What you don't understand is that this company's worse.
Oh!
We don't have
he actually can be quite proficient at getting stuff done and making a buck.
And dental this time.
You're talking about a multi-million-dollar buyout.
These are our demands.
And he's probably responsible for the bulk of the Michael Scott Paper Company deals, as we find out later that Pam is a terrible salesperson.
You're good at sales.
It's entirely possible that Michael's chaotic relationship-first management style is what motivates his staff to get things done.
Business isn't about money to me, David.
How? I mean, I'm not really sure. Maybe reverse psychology.
See, I wanted somebody to take it. Boom. Reverse psychology.
It seems that, in a sense, he inspires people to do their job.
Good manager doesn't fire people, he hires people and inspires people.
As if they don't do their job, no one will. Michael definitely won't.
Hey, what time is it?
5:20.
AM or PM?
PM.
Oh, good.
When you compare Michael to Charles, then, how does Charles motivate?
What are we supposed to do? They keep undercutting us on price.
I don't want to hear excuses. I want to see improvements. This is unacceptable.
And in that case, not good enough is not really an answer. I understand the sentiment, though. Don't come at me with just problems or excuses, but also solutions.
Just crunch them, please.
So this meeting, It probably should have happened weeks ago. Also, Michael must have killed Goldie in the last few weeks. But Charles probably presented a strong front to Wallace, telling him that he'd squash this bug and they'd be able to move on. And that just didn't happen, because he really doesn't know what he's doing.
I'm not firing Charles. He's very valuable.
That's very kind of you to say, David.
A minor case in point is that we find out in Broke that Charles was actually assigned to work in Scranton.
A lot better than a month at the Scranton Radisson, I'm sure.
You know what?
Yet he told the branch earlier.
Michael, I'm going to stay for the day.
And the last point here is that he's simply not a good judge of character.
This is a workplace. It isn't designed for your vanity.
And all is revealed here in this episode when he loses all credibility by forming an alliance with the least credible person.
Oh, man. If only Michael had children. That's how you really apply the pressure.
What is wrong with you?
So choosing Dwight over Jim, and in all fairness, Jim's been acting weird this whole time, so I guess I don't really blame him for that.
You two are morons.
Got it.
Still reflects real poorly on Charles. The character of Charles, though, is such a good idea from a writing standpoint. With Anthony Farrell saying, I remember sitting in Greg's office with Paul and Jen and me pitching ideas. I think Michael should have a black boss, someone he can't mess around with. Someone he tries all his jokes with, nothing works. He just can't get any traction with this new boss. And then Paul goes, yeah, like a Stinger Bell type. And I was like, yeah. And I could see his wheels turning from that moment, and then he made it happen. And it seems that that plot point obviously morphed from Michael not being able to get any traction to Jim not being able to, but with Michael just bowing out immediately. Novak said that they loved exploring this friction with Jim, as they'd made him the romantic lead of the story, and yet they felt that Krasinski was really being underutilized as of late, that he had more to bring to this role, so they gave him a chance to play around with a different set of emotions.
Hey, everybody, keep it down. Jim's taking a nap. Keep it down.
Kate Flannery and Jenna Fisher both stated in interviews that Elba was great to work with, and that he stayed in character the entire time. He said he did this so that his American accent would stay top of mind, and that he wouldn't let any of his British accent slip out.
Parties.
Andy Buckley, who famously hadn't quit his job of being a stockbroker, had this to say about this episode. The day the stock market was down 750 points just happened to be the day where I was in scenes from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It was the whole negotiation where we're gonna buy the Michael Scott Paper Company from Michael, Pam, and Ryan. They'd say, okay, let's cut, we're gonna take 5 minutes. I'd pick up my phone and I'd call as many clients as I could and try to calm their nerves over the market crash. It was an absolutely crazy day where both worlds were colliding. And of course, I can't just sit there and say to them, I'm sitting here all day doing scenes with Steve Carell and Idris Elba. I wish you guys were here, when people's worlds were collapsing.
It's Hail Mary time.
Which, considering, I think this adds an entirely new element of appreciation to what was already an incredibly charged episode. One of the moments that makes this episode so thrilling is this sequence.
Right. There is no way in hell that I am going to say that we're broke.
I love that cut so much. It's executed and played perfectly. But this isn't just a throwaway gag. It's an incredibly earned moment. Michael not being able to control his mouth is a thing that we've come to expect in this series.
Wow, you were very exotic looking. Was your dad a GI or? She was drinking a lot.
Okay.
Of water.
Do you really expect me to not push you up against the wall, biatch?
Our company is worth nothing. That's the difference between you and I.
And so every ounce of tension that we feel during these negotiations is earned through years of character trait reinforcement, and it's exceptionally well done. And Chris's favorite line of this episode?
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Used at least weekly by someone in my household, it's such a good Michaelism in such a great moment. The silence played afterwards is equally awesome. But this is also earned in this episode, with Michael's misunderstanding of phrases.
I will see titans of industry upstairs.
We're not only tight ends, we are also quarterbacks.
And even basic American human things.
Wait, is this just milk and sugar?
Okay, and one other thing I noticed this watch through that I hadn't really before is the significance of the cheese balls in this arc. When the paper company was new and fresh, full of potential, so was that cheese ball container. So in heavy competition, the container's about half empty, As Michael Scott Paper Company's on its last legs, the cheese balls are equally almost empty. It's just a clever nod that time is running low like the sands of time, but with cheese balls.
And those sand grains are tumbling with fury down the
It's no entrapment if I'm writing.
Oh, and I know I said to remember plenty, but don't worry, it's significant. It's going to come up down the road much later. And we need to talk about Jim's role in all of this. What Jim is doing here, well, at best, it's fireable.
This company's worse.
Oh!
No. We don't have
Oh! See, I'm here to learn as little information as possible.
And at worst, criminal.
You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to beg for mercy. You have the right to request judgment by combat. Dwight's rights.
This is called a conflict of interest. Jim stands to benefit here by getting Dunder Mifflin to buy out Michael Scott Paper Company.
Don't worry about it.
And look, I'm not going to join the internet trolls out there to pretend that Jim is doing some awful thing that we should all hate him for. But I kind of want to know what Wallace thought of all of this after the documentary aired. Jim's still working there at Dunder Mifflin, so I guess Wallace went back to his hands-off approach to leading.
If you had just returned Michael's call, none of us would have lost clients.
I've been wondering that myself lately.
But that does lead us back to some business stuff here. Ryan, an MBA, should have known how a small business like this would run.
I went to business school. I should have known better. Hell, I went to elementary school. I should have known better.
I think we can all agree on that. Pam, I'd say, is somewhat excused from all of this, but she does sum up her part nicely in the episode.
You don't blame the child. You blame the 30-year-old woman who got in the passenger seat and said, "Drive, kid. I trust you."
And I could be totally wrong here, but Michael seems to know that they can't afford a driver. I mean, look at this glance he gives the camera here.
We should look into that. Or we just go for the loft.
Then we get this great scene with the accountant.
But you need to use a variable cost pricing model.
Okay, sure. Right. So, why don't you explain what that is so they can understand?
And the Michael Scott Paper Company's grand error, somehow not accounting for the business expenses in their pricing model.
I reviewed the numbers myself.
I mean, I'm selling delicious waffles on my weekends right now, and even this incredibly small business, I have lots of things to consider, like the ingredients, the equipment cost, fees, taxes, and everything else I gotta pay for into the price of every single waffle we make. I call it the PPW, the price per waffle. I couldn't just think to start a food truck or a storefront and expect to make the same PPW. As your business grows,
so will your costs.
So either you have to save money, like deliver the product yourself,
Time to make the donuts.
or get better sourcing prices, or, whatever else businesses do.
I could work here.
None of this actually matters, as it's just a plot point to take us to the next story element and create tension, which is probably a good place for us to dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Cap.
I'm gonna say that the thesis of this episode is, don't sell yourself short.
No, Jim, I use a bad apiarist.
Michael Scott Paper Company is broke.
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 They took their shot, but the cruel nature of fate is just one cheese ball away from claiming not only their company and their jobs, but their worth as people. Michael's previous worst day scenario is when Steve Martin may die.
Did I ever tell you about the day that Steve Martin died? I always thought that the day that he died would be the worst day of my life, and I was wrong. It's this.
Quick internet check.
Calculating.
Okay, cool. But I love this scene when they start revealing themselves. Pam reveals that she was turned down from a few places.
I applied to Old Navy, Target, and Walmart. None of them called me back. Not even for an interview.
And Ryan reveals that he didn't go to Singapore,
I never went to Thailand.
and instead went to Fort Lauderdale. And I know that Novak was actually shooting in Inglourious Bastards.
Was it nice?
Scalp Herman.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The point is that these people are mere husk of who they were before facing certain failure. With even a really deep callback here, inferring that Michael's really always just been pretending to be something that he's not.
I love pad thai. You never had pad thai? No. Pad thai. Love pad thai.
I love the realism in this sequence. It's like when we hit the end of our line, we have these moments of clarity and vulnerability when we're able to just lay down all the facades and deal with who we really are and the situation we're really in. And that's not in conflict with what I said the thesis of this episode is.
Pam's not a salesperson.
Yes, she is.
The Michael Scott Paper Company, while a complete and utter failure, disrupted the regional paper market.
In the last month, we have lost 10 major clients to Michael Scott.
The reason that Dunder Mifflin is going to buy them isn't just because they're successful, but because the Michael Scott Paper Company is damaging the Dunder Mifflin brand in a major economic downturn.
Due to the economy, there's a lot of worry going around.
Every single client that Michael Scott Paper Company stole from Dunder Mifflin, just to get them back, is a huge blow to Dunder Mifflin.
Is it cheaper to sign a new customer or to keep an existing customer?
Keep an existing. Shut it.
And Shirley Staples and the other big guys. So while the fun read here is that they're frauds narrowly escaping bankruptcy,
Bankruptcy!
the truth that they stand on here as a manager, a salesperson, and Ryan.
Ryan cost Dunder Mifflin hundreds of thousands of dollars, Michael.
You know
Ryan.
what, David, I don't care if Ryan murdered his entire family. He is like a son to me.
3 people brought down one of the most profitable branches of a regional distributor in weeks. So frauds they are not. Life isn't clean and victories are nuanced. They came out on top here.
That's what she said. Don't you dare.
Could it have easily gone the other way? It wouldn't change the fact that the idea, it had weight, it had wings, it had winners. So with that, let's rate this thing.
Boom. Case closed.
Okay.
This is the worst.
So rating an episode that has a 9.3 out of 10 on IMDb gives me some cause for concern. It means that most of you watching this love this episode. So let's get into it. But first, if you can give this video a like and a subscribe, that would be awesome. It really helps me out a ton. If you want to, check out our Discord. Lots of people talking about The Office, lots of people talking about the channel. It's a lot of fun. Also find me on our social accounts. And if you want to support the channel, there's options down in the description. So with the cold opening, well, okay, I don't think that this IMDb rating is a reflection of the cold opening. This one does nail the feeling of being up stupid early for work stuff.
Ever since I've gotten clean, there's something about fresh morning air that just really makes me sick.
Michael's full-on youth pastor here too.
I lied!
And I don't know if it's just the church van,
We think it says Alleluia Church of Scranton in Korean.
but it does give me youth leader vibes. I've always loved the obnoxious honking at 4:30 in the morning. And how quickly this neighbor turns our lights on. And if you keep watching, you'll see the person at the window. Anyway, the cold opening, it's fine. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
I expected more.
Just a PSA here. Don't put box tape on your car like this. I'm not gonna research it, but I don't think it's good for your paint job. As for the episode, well, Broke is a ride.
Oh, Halberd! Wow! Border Patrol!
Let's pull back up that graphic with the story arc. Broke really nails each section perfectly. With the intro,
In the last month, we have lost 10 major clients to Michael Scott.
the conflict,
Okay, let me float something out there, okay? Can I just say,
the climax,
Our company is worth nothing.
and the resolution.
Hey guys.
No, you're done.
And that resolution, it's something special. They struggled with arcs like this in the past when they intended to mix things up. Jim being gone during season 3, Pam being gone earlier this season. When the show tries to go back and forth between 2 different locations and tell a cohesive story, they've really struggled. The Michael Scott Paper Company, though, well, it's just so well done. As we wrap this episode, Michael kicks Charles out, hikes his leg up there on the table with the camera perfectly framed, saying, "We're back." So I agree with the majority of IMDb. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. So come back next week. We're going to be talking about Casual Friday.
I'm serious about this stuff.
We're getting close to the end of season 5, so expect me to start putting some polls out there. Vote when you see them. Tell your friends who love The Office to vote too. I want to have the most conclusive answers that we can have, and we'll have some fun with it. So if you're still here and you're wondering why you can't see me, well, this week's been crazy. I have been toying around with the idea of playing with the format of these episodes. So if you noticed, I didn't specifically call out the comment contest.
Been there, done that.
Those are still on, the Easter egg, the trivia, and the emoji sequence. So leave them in the comments, and I'll make sure to get your name in the field guide next week. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.